Assalamu alaikum, dear students. As usual, we start with a warm-up. We're still reviewing solving multi-step equation. Please pause the video, try to answer this one, and then check your answer. Again, as I said earlier, we're still reviewing the multi-step equation. As introduced earlier, we had an example of writing and solving an equation. As we said, it's similar to writing algebraic expression. So let's read this one together. 3/4 of the difference of a number and 7 is negative 15. This means the equal sign. The difference of a number and 7, if we assume this number is x, the difference means a subtraction operation. So it is x minus 7. 3/4, it means 3/4. So let's put it all in one equation. 3/4, the difference of a number and 7, x minus 7, is equal to negative 15. Why did I use the parentheses here, the brackets? Because he's telling me in the equation 3/4 of the difference. If it was 3/4 the number, 3/4 and the number, I would write 3/4x. This is 3/4 of the number. But in case of writing 3/4 of the difference, I have to use brackets because it's 3/4 of the difference between x minus 7. And here is my equation. As introduced earlier, to get rid of any fraction, you just multiply by the reciprocal of this fraction on both sides. I have x minus 7, the unknown variable, which we need to find its value, minus 7, all multiplied by 3/4. So to get rid of this 3/4, I would multiply by the reciprocal. What is the reciprocal? The reciprocal is the same fraction but flipped. It is 3/4. I would multiply it by 4/3. And as we said earlier, in balancing the equation, you can never multiply one side. You have to multiply both sides. So I decided to multiply both sides by 4/3. You would consider multiplying only the right-hand side to make it easier and faster and getting rid of 3/4 in one step. Now, the 4 will be cancelled with the 4, the 3 is cancelled with the 3, and we have only x minus 7, totally isolated. Negative 15 times 4/3, you might consider cancelling, dividing by 3, 1, dividing by 3 is negative 5, so you have negative 5 times 4, it is negative 20. Now I have x minus 7 is equal negative 20. A simple one-step equation. After simplifying the equation, I have x minus 7 minus 20. Now, to get rid of this negative 7, drag it to the other side as plus 7. Minus 7 is dragged to the right-hand side as positive 7. So x will be negative 20 plus 7, which is negative 13. So the answer is A. Hopefully you did it correctly. Now, another real-life application, and this question is commonly coming in pre-SAT and SAT, writing and solving equations involving consecutive integers. First of all, what's the meaning of consecutive integers? Consecutive integers are the integers coming in the counting order, like 3, 4, 5, 6. They are coming in counting order. It might also be integers like negative integers, like negative 15, negative 14, negative 13, and so on. Those are called consecutive integers. In case of asking for any consecutive integers, we assume those consecutive are n plus 1, and n plus 2, because as you can see, they are increasing by 1. Each consecutive integers, when you go, they increases by 1. In case of consecutive integers or even or odd integers, in this case, we consider those number n plus 2, n plus 4. Because as you know, the even integers are 2, 4, 6, 8. They increases by 2. While the odd integers also increases by 2, like 5, 7, 9, even if they are negative, like negative um, 17, negative 15, negative 13, and so on. So again, consecutive integers are numbers or integers coming in counting order. They increases by 1. Consecutive even or consecutive odd increases by 2, and we assume those numbers n plus 2, n plus 4, n plus 6, and so on. Let's see the first example to apply this uh, property. Write an equation for the following problem, then solve the equation and answer the problem. Find 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 57. As I said earlier in the previous video, uh, some students might be able to solve such an equation or to find the 3 odd integers mentally without doing or writing the equation, but have the credit here for writing the equation and half for finding the number, solving it and finding the number. So if you found the numbers without writing the equation, you will get half the credit. If you write it and solve it and find the 3 integers, you would get the full mark for such a question. Let's see how to write an equation. First of all, he's asking me to find 3 consecutive uh, odd, 3 consecutive odd. So as introduced earlier, I would consider them n plus 2, and n plus 4. For any 3 consecutive odd or consecutive even, the numbers are n plus 2, n plus 4. If he's asking for 4 odd or 4 even integers, consecutive integers, it will be n plus 2, n plus 4, n plus 6, and so on. Their sum is 57. It means if you added those 3 numbers, their sum will be 57. You might consider using brackets here, or you might not. I don't prefer using brackets, because it might confuses you. Now I have n plus 2 plus n plus 4 is equal 57. What I'm going to do now is adding or combining like terms. I have n plus n, like one apple plus another apple plus the third apple. So I have 3 apples, 3n here. I have 2 numbers, 2 plus 4, which is 6. So it would be simplified into 3n plus 6 is equal to 57. A simple multi-step equation. I would drag the 6 to the other side with the opposite sign. So it will be 3n equals 57 minus 6, which is 51. I would use the long division to divide by 3 to find the value of n. 51 divided by 3, 5 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3, and you subtract, and then you drop the 1. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So n is 17. You never stop here because he's not asking you to find one of those numbers. He's asking you to find the 3 consecutive, all the 3 numbers. So this is actually the least one of them. N is the least one of the consecutive odd integers. So the next one will be, or the 3 numbers would be 17, and then 19, and then 21. Those are the 3 consecutive odd numbers. It's your turn now. Pause the video. Try to answer the following question and find 3 consecutive even integers whose sum is 84. Again, we assume those numbers n plus 2, n plus 4, and their sum. It means adding them to be equals to 84. And the next step is combining like terms. So n plus n plus n. I have 3n, 2 and 4 is 6, is equal to 84. Now, take the 6 to the other side. 3n is equal 84 minus 6, which is 78. And again, I have to get rid of the 3, directly divide the other side by 3 using the long division. 78 divided by 3 is 2, 2 times 3, 6. I have 1 and then drop the 8. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So n would be 26. Again, don't stop here. This is the only first one of the consecutive even integers, or the least even integer. So it's 26, 28, and 30. Those are the three numbers, because he was asking you to find the three consecutive integers number. So the answer is B. Another form which was introduced earlier in the previous video is having an equation involving proportion, like this one. Both of them are written as ratios or fractions. X plus 4 over 12 is equal 3 over 4. And as introduced earlier, the easiest and the fastest way is to use cross product. So 4 will be multiplied by x plus 4, and 3 will be multiplied by 12. And this is really important now. 4 is not only multiplied by x or only multiplied by 4, it's multiplied by the whole expression. It's multiplied by x plus 4. So that's why you have to use a bracket. Again, when you use cross product, this 4 is multiplied by the whole expression, x plus 4. It's not only multiplied by x, it's not only multiplied by 4, it's multiplied by the whole expression. That's why you have to remember to use brackets. And this 3 is multiplied by 12, and as we know, 3 multiplied by 12 is 36. Now, what would be the next step? Again, I have 4 multiplied by this expression. So to undo multiplication, I would consider dividing by this 4. So I would divide here by 4 and divide here also by 4. The 4 will be cancelled, and x plus 4 will be isolated. 36 divided by 4 is 9. A simple one-step equation. Take the 4 to the other side with opposite sign. X will be 9 minus 4, which is 5. It's your turn now. Try to answer this one. Pause the video and play it back again to check your answer. Again, we have a proportion, or an equation involving proportion. So you would consider cross product or cross multiplication to answer such an equation. The 8 is not only multiplied by x, it's multiplied by the difference between x and 6. So remember to use brackets. 8 times x minus 6 is equal 5 times 16. 5 times 16 is 80. And now you have to get rid of this 8. So you divide here by 8 and you divide here by 8. It is x minus 6. 80 divided by 8 is 10. Now drag the negative 6 with the opposite sign to the right hand side. And now x is isolated. X plus 6 is 16. So the answer is D. Until we meet again, please make sure to follow up your homework uploaded on your drive. Submit your homework on time. And until we meet again, see you and keep safe.